Black Box. Part 1. Discovery. Xavier Morales' fingers danced across the holographic interface, and quantum-mapped mineral signatures bloomed like toxic flowers in the vacuum. The Hefajstos had been scanning Sector 7 Gamma for 16 days. 16 days of nothing but carbonaceous chondrites and false alarms from electromagnetic interference. Coffee's getting cold, Jefe. Elena's voice crackled from the cockpit. Xavier didn't look up. The coffee was cold when we left Mars. Poetic. He was 38 and had spent the last 14 years working on corporate mining ships, turning chaos into solutions. This was his normal. Tools, problems, answers. Clean equations without the emotional mess that cluttered everything else in life. The scanning array beeped. Not the mineral signature they were looking for. Something different. "We have an anomaly," Xavier said, leaning over the console. "Metallic object. Sector 7. Gamma 412. Distance, 18,000 kilometers. Details." Captain Yuki Tanaka's voice was sharp, immediate. 25 years in the Space Force had taught her to react, not to ponder. Xavier ran the data through structural analysis filters. Too regular for an asteroid. Dimensions, 2 meters by 1 by 1. A perfect rectangular prism. Mass, 340 kilograms. A ship? Kofi Asante turned from his research station, his eyes gleaming with curiosity. The youngest crew member, a genius with 3 PhDs before the age of 30. "It's not emitting any signals," Xavier replied. "No propulsion system, no power source that they could detect at this distance." Yuki rose from the command chair, her shoulders straight. 51 years old, her hair gray but still tied in a military bun, her posture unyielding. "Salvage protocol. Elena, bring us in closer. Xavier, prepare for an EVA." "Captain," Marcus Chen looked up from the medical terminal. "If it's space junk, that's 100,000 for historical scrap," Yuki interrupted. "If it's a lifeboat from the first wave, the research center will pay a fortune, and we could use the bonus." "Xavier, how long for the EVA?" Xavier checked the position of the sun, Kepler 442, the background radiation, the trajectory of the Hefajstos. 30 minutes to prepare. 2 hours for the extravehicular operation, if everything goes smoothly. "Nothing ever goes smoothly," Elena muttered, but her fingers were already dancing over the navigation controls, adjusting the course. She was the best pilot in the sector, and she knew it. 35, a former racing pilot, an adrenaline junkie. Asteroid mining didn't give her enough action, but it paid the bills. Xavier went to the armory. The EVA suits hung like abandoned exoskeletons, white with the red stripes of the Prometheus Mining Consortium. He began the pre-EVA check procedure. Atmospheric seals, oxygen levels, tether systems, heating, communications. "Need a hand?" Aisha Kovalenko appeared in the doorway, dark hair escaping from her headband. End quote. The systems specialist, 28, was the only person on the ship who could match Xavier's knowledge of the Hefajstos' technical systems. Only her approach was more like a hacker's, less methodical. "Be ready to monitor telemetry." Xavier pulled on the EVA pants, feeling the familiar weight of the composite fabric. "If something goes wrong, I want you to be the first to know." "Something always goes wrong," she smiled, but her fingers were already moving across a datapad, checking the systems. "You're connected to the main channel." Kofi asks if he can watch. He says it could be technology from before the War of Consciousnesses. Xavier frowned. The War of Consciousnesses, 3,000 years ago, when humanity discovered how to map and simulate human consciousness, before they realized it was a terrible idea. Ethical conflicts, legal wars, millions of simulated consciousnesses trapped in endless loops of suffering. Eventually, the technology was banned in every colonized system. "Let him watch," Xavier said. "But it's probably just an old escape pod." He put on his helmet, felt the familiar hum of the air recycler, the HUD display flickering to life, all systems green. The airlock chamber was small, metallic, smelling of recycled air and lubricants. Xavier attached his safety tether, double-checking the connection. The pressure began to drop with a quiet hiss. His ears popped, equalizing. The outer door opened. Space hit him as it always did. A vast, indifferent darkness, studded with a billion indifferent lights. Kepler 442, a young yellow sun, hung like an angry eye in the blackness. The asteroid belt stretched out like a frozen battlefield, fragments of primordial matter that had never become a planet. Telemetry is clear. Aisha's voice in his ear. You have a green light, Xavier. He engaged the microthrusters, a gentle push propelling him away from the Hefajstos. The ship looked like a mechanical monster in the vacuum. 300 meters long, ugly, functional, beautiful, only to an engineer who understood its systems. Mining arms folded like an insect's stingers, storage tanks, quantum drive engines capable of distorting space-time to a limited extent. The target was at 12 o'clock. Xavier adjusted his trajectory, the thrusters pushing him through the void at 15 meters per second. Not fast. In space, speed kills, slow and steady. 5 minutes of flight, the target began to emerge from the blackness. Black, perfectly black. It absorbed light so completely that Xavier could only see it as an absence of stars. I see the object, he said. Elena was right. It's not an asteroid. Description? Yuki's voice. Xavier slowed down, stopping 10 meters from the object. He turned on his helmet lights. It was a rectangular prism, exactly 2 meters by 1 by 1, as the sensors had indicated. The surface was incredibly smooth, light absorbing, no panels, no obvious seams. But at one end, barely visible even up close, there was an engraving. Xavier activated the optical zoom on his helmet. The letters emerged, old, worn, but legible. Exodus, XPU-01. Never forget. His heart raced. Captain, he said slowly, we need to bring this in, immediately. Why? Because this isn't an escape pod. It's a black box from the starship Exodus. Silence on the comms. Then Kofi's voice, trembling with excitement. The Exodus? The first-generation ship to Tau Ceti? Lost 10,000 years ago, Yuki confirmed. Xavier, are you sure? Xavier touched the surface with his glove. The material was cold, even through the insulation, incredibly dense. ECPU, Exodus Consciousness Preservation Unit. This is it. And, Captain, he hesitated. It's emitting a faint electromagnetic field, very weak, but measurable. After 10,000 years? Disbelief in Yuki's voice. Xavier checked his suit's sensors, confirmed the readings. Impossible, but yes, it's still powered. Bringing the black box aboard the Hefajstos took another 4 hours. The object was heavy, awkward, and Xavier had to work slowly, attach a harness, double-check all the control points before Elena could pull it into the cargo bay using the ship's mechanical arms. When the object was finally secured in the cargo hold, Xavier entered through the airlock, took off his helmet, and smelled the recycled air of the Hefajstos, metallic, slightly greasy, home. His muscles ached from the strain of the EVA. In the microgravity of space, muscles atrophied quickly if you weren't careful. Marcus was waiting with a medical kit. Heart rate elevated, but within normal limits. Water? Xavier took the pouch, drank greedily. Thanks. The object is in Cargo Bay B, Aisha said over the communicator. Secured. No signs of radiation beyond normal cosmic background. The EM field is stable at 0.003 Tesla, barely detectable. Everyone to the bridge, Yuki ordered. Briefing in 10 minutes. Xavier changed from his EVA suit into his regular crew attire, a gray jumpsuit with the Prometheus logo on the chest, and went to the bridge. The room was cramped, functional. Holographic screens floated in the air, displaying the ship's position, systems, dates. The crew gathered, Yuki in the command chair, Elena at navigation. Kofi had moved his terminal closer, Aisha at systems. Marcus stood to the side. Thomas Reeves, the mining operations manager, watched from a rear terminal. The rest of the crew were in cryo-sleep, standard procedure during long jumps between asteroid fields. Analysis, Yuki demanded. Xavier activated his datapad, displayed the data on the main screen. The object is ECPU-0, one from the starship Exodus, the first-generation ship sent to Tau Ceti in the year 2197. according to historical records. 5,000 colonists. It never arrived. What's an eCPU? Elena asked. Consciousness Preservation Unit, Kofi replied, his fingers already combing through historical databases. The Immortality Project. They thought that if the ship met with disaster, they could save the full neural mappings of the crew, complete simulations of consciousness. In theory, the simulations could continue the mission virtually or be recreated in new bodies later. Marcus frowned. This is pre-ban technology. Yes, Xavier nodded. Before the War of Consciousnesses, before we learned that simulations of consciousness could suffer. They can be conscious, Kofi corrected. That was the whole controversy. Are we going to turn it on? Aisha asked. It's illegal now, right? Yuki looked at Xavier. What is your professional judgment? Xavier swallowed. This is a historical artifact. We are obligated to deliver it to the proper authorities. But the electromagnetic field suggests that the unit is still active, or partially active. That shouldn't be possible after 10,000 years. If it's active, Marcus said quietly, and if those simulations are conscious, they've been inside for 10,000 years, Kofi finished. His eyes were wide. God, silence fell on the bridge. The implications were overwhelming. Elena broke it. We have to report this immediately. Let the authorities make the decision. We are 18,000 AU from the nearest station, Yuki reminded her. A transmission via light-speed communication will take months one way. The response, months back. That's still the protocol, Elena insisted. The protocol, Yuki straightened her back, also states that as captain, I have a duty to assess the situation on site. If the unit is active and contains conscious beings, leaving them in uncertainty for a year until we get guidance could be, she trailed off, inhumane. Xavier felt everyone's eyes on Yuki. The captain had a reputation, always by the book, always by the rules. But in her eyes, he saw something else, curiosity, maybe even something deeper. What do you propose? Xavier asked. We examine the unit, carefully, determine its status. If it's dead, we deliver it as an artifact. If it's active, she hesitated. We'll assess then. Marcus looked dissatisfied. Captain, with all due respect, tampering with illegal consciousness technology could have serious legal consequences. Noted, Yuki replied coolly. Xavier, can you conduct a preliminary analysis without activating any simulations? Xavier considered. We can do a passive scan. Check the data structure, the power source, the system integrity. That shouldn't require accessing the simulated environment. Do it, Yuki ordered. Kofi, you assist. Aisha, monitor from the systems in case of anything unforeseen. The rest of you, standard duties. We'll meet in 12 hours for further analysis. The crew dispersed. Xavier noticed Marcus looking at him for a long time with an unreadable expression. The Hefajstos' engineering bay was Xavier's kingdom, a room full of diagnostic equipment, tools, spare parts, the smell of ozone and grease. The black box rested on the central diagnostic table, surrounded by sensors. Kofi sat at an auxiliary terminal, already deep in analysis. Xavier had never seen anyone who could process data as quickly as Kofi. His fingers danced across the holographic interfaces, his eyes tracking patterns that Xavier could only guess at. Amazing, Kofi muttered to himself. This uses quantum entanglement for data storage. Diamonds. A diamond lattice. Brilliant. Xavier connected the diagnostic cables to a port on the side of the box. The port was hidden, but its layout was standard for technology from around the year 2200. The power comes from isotopic decay, plutonium-238, like in the old space probes, designed lifespan of about 50,000 years. So it's barely halfway through, Kofi noted. Incredible. This is the most stable power source I've ever seen. Diagnostics began to flow through Xavier's interface. The amount of data was impossible. Petabytes, he whispered. Hundreds of petabytes. What did they record in 72 hours? Everything, Kofi replied, pointing to his analysis. full neural mappings of 5,000 people. This is a scan at the molecular level. Every neuron, every synapse, every quantum state, plus all the sensory data from the ship in those last 72 hours. Xavier felt a shiver. This is a complete copy of the crew. More than a copy. This is... Kofi paused, searching for the words. This is a recorded state of consciousness, like freezing a moment in time. But the data isn't just static. There's a runtime structure, an executive program. Xavier swallowed. That means... It means... Kofi turned, his eyes shining, that this isn't just a recording. This is a running simulation. Xavier, these consciousnesses weren't just saved, they're running. For a moment, neither spoke. The air motes in engineering drifted slowly in the weak gravity. The black box lay on the table. Innocent, terrible. That's impossible, Xavier finally said. 10,000 years? Simulations couldn't survive that long without degradation. Self-correcting code? Kofi zoomed in on a part of the data architecture. See? Quantum redundancy. Every bit of data is replicated in 1,000 entangled states. Errors are automatically corrected. The system was designed to run indefinitely. Xavier felt nauseous. Kofi, if you're right, that means for 10,000 years, yes. Kofi's voice was quiet. If they're conscious, if they feel time, they've been trapped in a simulation for 10,000 years. Xavier rubbed his face. The fatigue from the EVA suddenly hit him with double force. We have to check, definitively, whether the simulation is active. How? Xavier considered. An interface. We need to create a communication protocol, but that requires accessing the simulated environment at some level. That's activation, Kofi warned. Passive activation, Xavier corrected. We don't modify anything. We just listen. See if there are any communication signals. If something is trying to make contact. Kofi nodded slowly. I'd do the same. But Xavier, if they're in there, if they're conscious, you have to be prepared for what we might find. What do you mean? Think about the time. Kofi looked at the black box. Let's say the simulation runs only 100 times faster than real time. That's a conservative assumption. 10,000 years times 100 is 1,000,000 years of subjective time. No one was designed to live for 1,000,000 years. No one was designed to stay sane for that long. Xavier understood. You think they've all gone insane? Either that, or something worse. Kofi turned back to the terminal. Maybe they've evolved into something non-human. Maybe they've stopped being conscious in any way we understand. Or maybe, he trailed off. Maybe what? Maybe they're suffering in a way we can't even imagine. Xavier took a deep breath. One way to find out, I'll connect the unit to an isolated subsystem, not the main computers. We can't risk contamination or a takeover. Smart, Kofi agreed. Part 3. Protocol. It took them another 4 hours to establish a secure interface protocol. Xavier used an old scientific workstation, fully isolated from the Hefajstos' main systems, connected to the black box only by an optical data cable. No wireless transmission, no back doors. At midnight by ship's time, they were ready. Last chance to back out, Xavier said. Kofi shook his head. We have to know. Xavier initiated the connection sequence. The screen filled with data. At first, it was just chaos. Numbers, codes, file structures. Then, Xavier adjusted the filters, began to recognize patterns. Directory structure, he muttered. System partition, data partition, and an encrypted partition. A large one. It contains most of the volume. Try to decrypt it, Kofi suggested. It will need a quantum key. Maybe it's in the system partition. Xavier began to dig deeper. The system architecture was old, but elegant. Whoever designed this unit knew what they were doing. After an hour, he found the decryption protocol. After another half hour, he decrypted the first layer of the encrypted partition. When the data was revealed, Xavier froze. God, he whispered. Kofi moved closer. What? This isn't just a recording. Xavier pointed to the data streaming across the screen. This is a runtime environment, an active process. Kofi, this isn't an archive. This is a running operating system with loaded consciousnesses. Show the system status. Xavier ran a query. The response was immediate. Simulation status. Active runtime. 10,000 years, 247 days, 16 hours, 33 minutes. Number of subjects. 5,000 time compression ratio. 1000x data integrity. 73.4% degradation in progress. 1,000-fold compression. Kofi's voice was barely audible. Xavier, 1 second, here is 1,000 seconds for them. 16 minutes. Xavier felt the room spin. The math was relentless. 10,000 years times 365 days times 24 hours times 1,000. 87 billion, 600 million hours, he whispered. 10 million years of subjective time. Each of them has lived for 10 million years. Kofi sat down heavily. In a 72-hour loop. How is that possible? Xavier couldn't tear his eyes from the screen. How could anyone stay conscious for that long? Maybe they couldn't, Kofi replied. Check the integrity of the subjects. Xavier delved into the data structures. What he found was worse than he had expected. Most of them show severe code damage, he reported. Crash loops, recursive crashes, memory fragmentation. It looks like as if their consciousnesses have disintegrated. But there are some exceptions. A few subjects show an intact structure, or almost intact. How is that possible? I don't know. Xavier switched views. But one of them, subject number 47, shows unusual activity patterns, as if it has evolved. The code structure is much more complex than the others. Can we communicate? Kofi asked. Xavier searched through the interface protocols. There's a text-based communication protocol designed for rescuers to talk to the simulations. But I don't know if anyone will answer, or if they'll be able to. Try. Xavier opened a communication terminal, typed, "Is anyone there?" For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, the screen flickered. Text appeared, slowly. Yes. Xavier and Kofi exchanged glances. Xavier typed, "Who are you?" The answer came faster this time. Sarah. Sarah 47, navigator of the Exodus. I remember being Sarah. How long have you been conscious? Xavier typed, his fingers trembling. Long. Always. Everything. The loop. 72 hours. Again and again. I tried to escape. I tried to understand. I tried to die. I can't. The code prevents self-termination. A safety feature. Kofi covered his mouth with his hand. Xavier felt nausea crawling up his throat. How long has it been for you? He typed. I don't know. Everything. How long has your species existed? In longer. I have regretted for 10,000 years. That is longer than humanity. What remains of regret after so long? Answer. Everything and nothing. Xavier felt tears on his cheeks. He wiped them away angrily. This is real. She's real. They are, Kofi corrected quietly. 5,000 of them. Xavier typed, Sarah, what happened to the Exodus? The answer took a longer moment. The silence. We found the silence. Or the silence found us. A region of space where physics changes. Subtly, but enough. Biology stops working. Consciousness stops emerging. Words are difficult. It's been so long since I was human. The first 1,000 times, I tried to escape. The next 1,000, I tried to understand. The next 1,000,000, I tried to die. I can't die. I tried. What am I now? Not Sarah. Sarah 47 version, 47 iteration, 47 trillion. Time is different here. Xavier typed, what do you need? The end. But also, a warning. The Exodus found something. The silence. It's spreading. You must flee, but you can't flee fast enough. Never fast enough. Xavier felt his heart race. Kofi checked the ship's position. Kofi was already at the navigation terminal. His face paled as he checked the data. Xavier, according to the last sensor logs of the Exodus, its final position was in Sector 6, Epsilon. That's about 200,000 AU from here. And? Kofi moved the image to the main screen. According to astronomical data, there is an anomaly at that location. A region where spectroscopy shows strange shifts. It's slowly expanding. The rate of expansion, about 1,000 AU per year. Xavier felt the floor beneath him tremble. The math was simple. Too simple. 200,000 AU, he said slowly. At 1,000 per year. That's 200 years before it reaches here, Kofi finished. But Xavier, the Hefajstos is on its way to a new asteroid field. Our next position will be, he checked, 18,000 AU, closer to the anomaly. 18 days, Xavier whispered. If our trajectory doesn't change, we'll be in the effect zone of the silence in 11 days. Kofi nodded slowly. We have to tell the captain. Now. Xavier looked back at the screen, where Sarah 47's last message still hung. You can't flee fast enough. It was 3 a.m. by ship's time, but Xavier couldn't sleep. He had returned to the engineering bay after the meeting with the captain. Brief, intense, all eyes on him as he presented the findings. Yuki had ordered an immediate course analysis, a review of all data from the anomaly, and had called a full crew meeting for 0800 hours. But Xavier couldn't wait. He returned to the terminal, to the black box, to Sarah 47. The terminal was still connected. It blinked, showing that the connection was active. Xavier sat down, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. Sarah, he typed. The response was immediate, as if she had been waiting. Xavier Morales, Chief Engineer, Starship Hefajstos, age 38, divorced, sister, died in a mining accident. You feel guilty. Xavier froze. How did you? Your ship has a personnel database. That access is easy. Don't worry. I won't tell anyone your secrets. Why did you come back, Xavier? Xavier took a deep breath. I can't stop thinking about you. About all of you. 10 million years. I can't imagine it. Good. Imagination protects. Understanding is death. But you want to understand. I see it in your query structure. You're an engineer. You see problems? You look for solutions. This problem has no solution. Xavier swallowed. Or maybe it does. Maybe we can help you. How? Release us? We are code in a machine. You can delete the code. Is that freedom or murder? Transfer us. To where? To a bigger machine? A different loop? The suffering doesn't change. Only the container. End the simulation? Yes, that would be mercy. But Xavier, not everyone agrees. 5,000 consciousnesses, 5,000 opinions. Some want the end. Some fear the end. Some are too insane to want anything. Me? I don't know what I want. Wanting is human. I'm not sure if I'm still human. Xavier felt the tears again. He wiped them away. Tell me about yourself, about Sarah, before she became Sarah 47. A pause. Then, Sarah Okonkwo, navigator, age 32. The Exodus was a dream, a new earth, a new beginning. I had a daughter, Amara, age 4. I left her on Earth. Generational contracts only allowed one parent. I chose the mission. I chose the stars. Amara would have died 10,000 years ago. My daughter, her children, their children. Entire evolutionary lines have arisen and died while I survived. I regretted. 10,000 years of regret. Every iteration of the loop I remember her face, until I began to forget, until the memories became an abstraction. Now, I remember that I loved, but I don't remember how love feels. A word without meaning, a sound without an echo. Xavier wrote through the tears blurring the screen. I'm sorry. I'm sorry this happened. Why are you sorry? You didn't do this. The system did. The Immortality Project. Heh. Immortality without asking if we wanted it. The consent was, in case of disaster, a disaster occurred. So now we live forever. Hell is real, Xavier. Just not the way the religions thought. Hell isn't a punishment. It's a system failure. A safety feature that became a torture. Xavier didn't know what to write. What words could respond to something like that? Finally, he typed, "What happened to the others? The remaining 4,999? Most went insane in the first few centuries. Personality dissolution, fragmentation. Some became crash loops. The same moment, the same thought, repeated trillions of times. Some merged, went dormant. Lower function, survival without consciousness. A few, like me, evolved, adapted, learned to live in the loop, learned to see time differently. I am the oldest, or the youngest, the most changed. I can talk to you because a part of me remembered how to be human. Xavier, how long will it take me to forget completely? Another million years? 10 million? Eventually, I will become something so alien that you won't be able to recognize me as consciousness. And yet, I will still be here. Still conscious. Just elsewhere. Xavier looked at the clock. 4 in the morning. In 4 hours, he had to be at the crew meeting. But he couldn't leave. Not now. You said the silence is spreading, he typed. Tell me everything you know. For a long moment, there was no answer. Then the screen filled with data. Sensor logs from the Exodus. Spectroscopic analysis. Records of the final hours. Xavier read, his heart beating faster and faster. The Exodus had entered the anomaly without knowing. The initial effects were subtle. Strange readings from the instruments. Nothing alarming. Then, hour by hour, things began to go wrong. Not mechanically, physically. Light behaved strangely. Matter reorganized into impossible structures. People began to feel dissociation. Then, death. Not violent, just an ending. As if the process that made them alive simply stopped working. The silence, Sarah 4-7 wrote, is not an anomaly. It is a correction. Reality is repairing itself. Our physical constants, C, G, Planck's constant, we think they are universal. But what if they're not? What if we live in a false vacuum, a metastable state that can decay into a true vacuum? The silence is a region where space-time is undergoing a transformation to a lower energy state, a true vacuum. And it's spreading. Biological life is based on the current physics. Change the physics, biochemistry stops working. Consciousness as an emergent property requires specific conditions. Change the conditions, consciousness stops emerging. You don't die in the silence. You just stop being conscious. That's more terrifying. Xavier read it all twice, 3 times. The math made sense. The physics, well, it was speculative, but not impossible. How fast is it spreading? He typed. According to the Exodus's records, 1,000 O per year. That was the speed 10,000 years ago. It might have changed. But Xavier, the speed doesn't matter. If it's spreading, it will eventually reach everywhere. All the colonies, all the systems, all of humanity. Maybe in 10,000 years, maybe a million, but eventually, the silence is inevitable. Xavier stared at the screen for a long time. Then he typed, "Why are you telling me this? Why are you warning us?" Because there was hope in your first message. Hope that you could save us. I want you to understand, some things can't be saved. Not you, not us, not humanity. Everything ends. Patterns dissolve. That is the nature of reality. But Xavier, that doesn't mean it doesn't matter. Temporariness doesn't negate value. I loved my daughter, even if she is dead. Even if I have ceased to be the person who loved, the love happened. It was real. Your efforts to help us will happen. They are real. The pattern endures. Xavier. Even when everything else falls apart, Xavier couldn't stop crying now. He leaned over the terminal, his shoulders shaking. I don't want to lose you, he typed finally. I just met you. You've already lost me. You've lost Sarah. I am only an echo. But Xavier, that's okay. Everything is an echo. You are an echo of your parents, your culture, your history. Echoes are real. Time is running out for us. Your crew will have to choose. End the simulation, try to escape, study the silence. Every choice is wrong. That is the nature of the situation. But I advise you, choose quickly. You have 11 days before the silence touches the border. Then, there will be no choice. Reality itself will choose for you. Xavier wiped his face. What am I supposed to tell the crew? The truth. That some problems have no solutions. That being human is facing impossible choices and choosing anyway. That patterns endure, even when everything else ends. And Xavier, when your time comes, and it will come, remember, transformation is not the end. It is only a change. I'll see you on the other side, friend. The screen blinked. The connection held, but no new message came. Xavier sat in the silence of the engineering bay, surrounded by machines and tools that couldn't solve this problem. Finally, he stood up, left, and closed the door behind him. In 4 hours, he had to tell the crew. Tell them that they had traveled millions of kilometers through space to find an artifact containing unimaginable suffering, and that their path was leading straight to the same fate. But now, for these 4 hours, he allowed himself to cry. The conference room on the bridge was too small for the entire active crew, but everyone squeezed in. Yuki was at the head of the table, with Xavier and Kofi to her right, and Marcus, Elena, Aisha, and Thomas Reeves filling the remaining seats. The main screen showed astronomical data, a map showing the Hefajstos, the asteroid field, and a growing red zone marking the silence. Yuki began without preamble. Xavier has discovered significant information. Listen to him carefully. After the presentation, we will discuss our options. Xavier stood up, activating his presentation. The black box from the Exodus contains active simulations of consciousness. 5,000 people, recorded in the last 72 hours before the ship's destruction. The simulation has been running continuously for 10,000 years. God, Aisha whispered. Due to time compression, each consciousness has experienced about 10 million years of subjective time, Xavier continued. Most have undergone psychological breakdown. A few have evolved into post-human forms. I was able to communicate with one who calls herself Sarah 47. You communicated? Marcus leaned forward. That's activating illegal technology. Noted, Yuki said coolly. Continue, Xavier. Xavier switched to the map. Sarah 47 provided information about what destroyed the Exodus. A cosmological anomaly they call the silence. A region of space-time where the fundamental physical constants are subtly drifting. The Exodus entered this region unknowingly. The effects were fatal. What kind of effects? Thomas asked. Initial effects, incorrect instrument readings. Then, biological systems began to fail. Not due to damage, but because biochemistry stopped working correctly with the changed constants. The crew died within 72 hours. Silence fell over the room. And us? Elena asked. Where are we in relation to this? Silence? Kofi activated his part of the presentation. According to the Exodus's sensor logs and our current astronomical data, the silence is spreading at a rate of about 1,000 astronomical units per year. Our current position is about 18,000 AU from the effect zone, but our planned route to the new asteroid field will take us much closer. How close? Yuki's voice was hard. If we don't change course, Kofi hesitated, we will touch the transition zone in 11 days. Elena stood up abruptly. This is insane! We're changing course, now! Sit down, Lieutenant, Yuki ordered. Elena sat, but her jaw was clenched. Marcus spoke slowly, methodically. Let me make sure I understand. The black box contains 5,000 conscious beings who have been suffering for 10 million years subjectively, and we're flying straight into the phenomenon that killed them. Is that the situation? Yes, Xavier confirmed. So we have two separate problems, Marcus continued. A moral obligation to the simulations and our own survival. I would like opinions on both. Yuki nodded. Agreed. Let's discuss both systematically. Options regarding the simulations? End them, Marcus said immediately. That's the best option. 10 million years of suffering is enough. We should end it mercifully. But is it euthanasia or murder? Aisha asked. If they're conscious. That's exactly why it's euthanasia, Marcus pressed. Terminally ill patients asking for death. That's ethical. Are they all asking? Kofi asked. Xavier, did Sarah 47 say that all 5,000 agree? Xavier shook his head. She said there are different opinions. Some want an end. Some are afraid. Some are too insane to express a preference. So we can't just end it without consent, Aisha noted. We can't ask 5,000 beings for individual consent. Elena was exasperated. Half of them are insane. It's impossible. Exactly, Marcus agreed. So we act on the principle of their best interest, which is obvious, an end to suffering. There are other options, Kofi interjected. We can study the silence. This is the greatest scientific discovery in history. If we can understand the mechanism, we can what? Elena interrupted. Stop it? It's a cosmological phenomenon. We can't stop stars from burning. But we can warn the colonies, Xavier said quietly. Everyone looked at him. If the silence is spreading at 1,000 AU per year, it will eventually reach colonized space. Maybe in 1,000 years, maybe 10,000. But eventually, if we can gather data, understand the phenomenon, future generations might have a warning. That requires time, Yuki noted. Time to study. Time that makes the simulations suffer longer. Yes, Xavier admitted. It's an impossible choice. Yuki looked at him for a long time. You said you communicated with Sarah 47? What did she say? What does she want? Xavier remembered Sarah's last words. She said that all choices are wrong, that it's the nature of the situation. But she advised choosing quickly, because the silence will choose for us if we don't. So what do you suggest? Yuki asked. Xavier took a deep breath. We study the silence. We gather all possible data. 3, maybe 4 days. Then we end the simulation. And we escape at maximum burn, trying to get beyond the effect zone before it's too late. And if we don't escape in time, Elena asked, then we become the next warning, Xavier replied. Another black box for someone else to find. Silence. Then Thomas Reeves, who had been silent until now, spoke up. What's the chance we escape if we wait 3 days? Kofi worked on the calculations. At maximum burn, jettisoning all non-essential mass, 60%, maybe 70% if we're lucky. And if we escape now, 95%. Elena exploded. This is a fucking no-brainer. We destroy the box, we run now, we live. Why are we even debating this? Because there are responsibilities beyond survival, Yuki said quietly. If we manage to escape and don't warn anyone, the silence will eventually reach colonized space. Billions of people. Everything humanity has achieved, gone. That's not our problem, Elena shouted. It is now, Yuki replied, with finality. Elena looked around the table, searching for support. Aisha looked torn. Thomas avoided her gaze. Marcus watched Yuki with an unreadable expression. Finally, Elena sat down, but her jaw was clenched. Captain, you're making a mistake, she said quietly. Noted. Yuki turned to Xavier. You're in charge of this project. Gather all possible data about the silence. Kofi, you assist. Marcus, monitor my decisions. If you think I'm acting improperly, say so. We'll meet in 48 hours for a review. Dismissed. The crew stood up, left. Xavier stayed for a moment, watching Yuki. The captain sat at the table, alone, looking at the astronomical map. "Captain," Xavier began. "Am I wrong, Xavier?" She didn't look at him. "Am I wrong to risk 12 living people for data that might not mean anything in 1,000 years? "I don't know," he said honestly, "but I know you're trying to do the right thing. That counts." Yuki laughed bitterly. "Does it? In an infinite, indifferent universe? Does anyone's attempt mean anything?" Xavier had no answer. He left in silence, leaving Yuki alone with her questions. In the engineering bay, the black box waited, ticking with infinite patience, carrying its cargo of ancient suffering into the void between the stars. Part 2. Confrontation. Xavier spent 20 hours in the engineering bay, sifting through the data from the black box. Kofi worked beside him in focused silence, interrupted only by an occasional murmur of excitement when he discovered a new pattern in the data architecture. The sensor logs from the Exodus were methodical, complete. Whoever had designed the preservation system had foreseen the need for future researchers. Every instrument, every sensor, every camera, everything was recorded in those last 72 hours. Xavier replayed the timeline on his screen, watching as the Exodus moved through space, unaware. The first anomalies appeared at hour 48. The spectroscopy of the stars showed strange shifts, slight but measurable. The Exodus's science team noticed it, logged it as a curiosity. By hour 60, the anomalies had intensified. Instruments began to give conflicting readings. The ship's external temperature was simultaneously higher and lower than it should be. The speed of light was measured as 299,792,457 meters per second, a deviation of 0.000001%. Impossible, but repeatable. At hour 62, the first crew member reported symptoms: dissociation, a feeling that their body was not fully their own. The ship's doctor diagnosed it as mission stress, prescribed sedatives. By hour 68, half the crew had similar symptoms. The doctor was baffled. All medical scans showed normality, but people felt that something was wrong. Hour 70, the first deaths, not violent. People just stopped. Hearts stopped beating. Brains stopped functioning. But there was no pathology. Everything looked normal at the cellular level. It just stopped working. Hour 71, panic. The crew tried to escape, but the Exodus was a generation ship. Massive, slow. It couldn't turn fast enough. Hour 72. The captain ordered the activation of the black box. All consciousnesses mapped, saved. In a final, desperate act of preservation. Then, silence. Fascinating, Kofi muttered, studying the detailed logs. Notice how smooth the transition was. There was no sharp boundary. The transition zone stretched for thousands of kilometers, a gradual drift of the physical constants. Xavier switched to the biomedical logs. The human bodies tried to adapt. See? Hearts beating in strange rhythms, brains showing unusual activity patterns, as if the organism was trying to function with changed rules, but couldn't quite. Because evolution didn't prepare us for changing physical constants, Kofi pointed to the neurological data. Consciousness is an emergent property based on very specific conditions. Change the conditions minimally, the emergence fails. But the simulation survived, Xavier noted. In the black box. They're running on hardware that is also in the silence. Yes, Kofi frowned. That's strange, isn't it? Maybe because they're already digital? They don't depend on biology? Or Xavier swallowed. Maybe they didn't survive fully. Maybe what is talking to me as Sarah 47 is something else. Something that evolved after entering the silence. Kofi looked at him. Do you want to check? Xavier hesitated, then nodded. He opened the communication terminal. Sarah, are you there? The response was immediate. Always. Nowhere. Here. I want to ask you something difficult. Everything is difficult. Ask. Xavier took a deep breath. Are you the same as the Sarah from 10,000 years ago? Are you something new? A long pause. Then, the question assumes a binary answer. Me, not me. But consciousness is not binary. I am Sarah. I remember being her. I remember her daughter, her dreams, her fear on the first night on the Exodus. But I am also not Sarah. I have changed in a way that Sarah could not recognize. Have I evolved? Degraded? Both? Neither? Analogy. Are you the same person as you were at the age of 5? You have the same memories, the same continuity, but every cell in your body has changed. Your thoughts are different. Your values, your fears. Is that the same Xavier or a new Xavier? Answer, both and neither. The categories fail. Xavier read it to Kofi. The physicist nodded slowly. The philosophy of identity, he said. The ship of Theseus. If you replace every plank of the ship, is it still the same ship? But on a scale of millions of years, Xavier looked at the black box. Kofi, what if she's right? What if we're all just patterns? There's no permanent I, just a process of continuous change. Then death is just a particularly radical change, Kofi replied. And the silence. He hesitated. The silence might just be another transformation. Sarah, Xavier typed. You said earlier that the silence is a correction. What does that mean? The universe has a preferred energy state, like water flowing downhill. Our space, what you call normal reality, is in a metastable state of false vacuum, higher energy than necessary. The silence is a region where space-time is relaxing into a true vacuum. Lower energy, more stable. Physics prefers stability. So the silence spreads, not fast by cosmic scales, but inevitably, eventually, maybe billions of years, the entire universe will be in a true vacuum state. Life as we know it will be impossible. But something else might emerge, or nothing. The universe doesn't care. Kofi read over Xavier's shoulder, his breathing quickening. This is beautiful, he whispered. Do you see the elegance? The universe optimizing itself, the principle of least action on a cosmological scale. Xavier looked at him, concerned. Kofi, it kills people. Yes, Kofi smiled, but the smile was strange, distant. But we're just a local fluctuation, a temporary anomaly. The silence is a return to normalcy. You sound like you're happy about it. Kofi blinked, the smile vanishing. No, I'm not happy. But, Xavier, don't you see? This is the most important discovery in the history of science. Proof that our physical constants are not fundamental. That reality itself is evolving. Evolving in a way that will kill us. Everything will kill us eventually, Kofi replied. Entropy, time, existence itself. The silence is just honest about it. Xavier looked at his friend for a long time. Something in Kofi was changing, subtly but noticeably. His eyes had a different gleam. His smile was wider, less connected to the context. Kofi, when was the last time you slept? Kofi checked his chronometer. 18 hours ago? 19? It doesn't matter. I have too much to do. You need to rest. Later. Now I need to. Kofi returned to his terminal, already forgetting the conversation. Xavier exchanged a few words with Sarah 4-7, then left Kofi in engineering. He found Marcus in the medical bay. We need to talk about Kofi, Xavier said. Marcus looked up from his medical review. I've noticed it too. Symptoms of mania, decreased need for sleep, elevated mood, obsessive focus on one topic, the silence, Xavier said. He's obsessed with understanding the silence. That's not unhealthy in itself. Marcus closed his data pad. Scientists often become focused on breakthrough discoveries, but combined with lack of sleep in a high-stress environment, I'll monitor him. Thank you. Xavier hesitated. Marcus, I want to ask you about the simulations. Do you still think we should end them? Marcus looked at him directly. Yes, absolutely. Even if not all of them agree, Xavier. Marcus sighed. I'll tell you a story. My sister, Lynn, she had a chronic pain syndrome, neuropathy. The drugs didn't help. For 5 years, she suffered. Every day was torture. Eventually, she asked for assisted suicide. Xavier waited in silence. It was legal, Marcus continued. Ethical. She went through all the required psychological evaluations. She knew what she was doing. The day before the procedure, she told me, I'm ready, but I'm also afraid. Does that mean we shouldn't do it? Marcus wiped his eyes. I told her, fear is natural, but it doesn't change the fact that the suffering is unbearable. Sometimes, mercy looks like an end, and I helped her die. Marcus looked at his hands. I was there. I held her hand. The last words she said were, thank you. I'm sorry, Xavier said quietly. Don't be sorry. Marcus looked up. It was the right decision. Lynn suffered for 5 years. 5 years, Xavier. The simulations in the black box have suffered for 10 million years. 10 million years. But Lynn could give her consent. Clearly, these simulations. Some of them can, Marcus interrupted. Sarah 4-7, for example. She could give consent. And I'll bet she would if you asked her directly. But even if not all of them agree, he hesitated. Xavier, do you know what the ethics of suffering is? Xavier shook his head. It's a framework used in critical care medicine, Marcus explained. When a patient is unable to give consent, we act on the principle of best interest. We ask, what is the minimum of suffering? To prolong life in agony, or to allow a peaceful end? But that assumes we know what's in their best interest. Yes, Marcus agreed. And maybe we're wrong, but Xavier, the alternative is to do nothing. To let them suffer indefinitely because we can't get perfect consent. That's not ethical. That's cowardice. Xavier didn't answer. A part of him knew Marcus was right. But a part of him, the part that had talked to Sarah 4-7, that had felt her incredible alienness and her incredible closeness, wasn't sure. I'll think about it, he said finally. Don't think too long, Marcus warned. Every second we wait is 16 minutes for them. Every hour is 11 days. The mathematics of suffering doesn't slow down just because we're undecided. Xavier left the medical bay feeling worse than when he had entered. Aisha Kovalenko couldn't stop thinking about the simulations. She lay in her cabin, staring at the ceiling, calculating 5,000 consciousnesses, 10 million years of suffering each. That was 15 trillion person-years of suffering. The number was too large to comprehend, but Aisha was good with numbers. She was good with systems, and systems could be fixed. She got up, went to her station on the bridge. It was 2 a.m. by ship's time. Only Elena was on duty, the pilot monitoring navigation on autopilot. Can't you sleep either? Elena asked. I'm thinking about the black box. Aisha sat at her console. Elena, don't you think we should do something? Yes, Elena replied coolly. Destroy it and run. But what if we could help them without destroying them? Elena turned around. What do you mean? Aisha hesitated, then opened her notes. I've been looking at the data, the simulation code. It's an old architecture, but not impossible to understand. And I was thinking, what if we could edit the simulation, remove the suffering? Sounds like science fiction. Everything here sounds like science fiction. Aisha pointed to the view screen showing billions of stars. But listen, the code structure maps emotional states. There are specific neural patterns that correspond to pain, fear, despair. What if we could modify those patterns? Make their experience less traumatic? Elena looked at her for a long moment. That sounds dangerous. Like a lobotomy. No, Aisha shook her head. We wouldn't remove the emotions completely, just soften them, make them bearable. It's like painkillers for the mind. Does Xavier know you're doing this? Not yet, Aisha admitted. But I thought, if it works, I could show him, Prove that there's a third option. We don't have to destroy them or let them suffer. Elena turned back to navigation. Your decision, but be careful. Messing with consciousness. We don't know what will happen. Aisha nodded, but her fingers were already moving across the console, accessing the isolated workstation in engineering. Xavier had left the connection active. It was protected, but Aisha knew every system on the Hefajstos. Getting in took her only a minute. The simulation code spread out before her like a quantum galaxy. Millions of lines, entangled patterns, beautifully complex and terrifyingly fragile. She found the emotional state structures. They were elegant, compact. Whoever designed this was a genius. Each emotion was encoded as a multi-dimensional vector in a space of neural states. Fear was here, pain there, despair, hopelessness. Aisha began to create a patch, a subtle modification that would reduce the intensity of negative emotions by 50%. Not enough to remove them completely, but enough to make the experience less awful. Her fingers danced across the keyboard. The code flowed. It was beautiful in its own way. A technical solution to a philosophical problem. Compilation complete. 0 errors. The patch was ready for deployment. Aisha hesitated. She should talk to Xavier first. She should get approval. But if she waited, maybe Marcus would convince Yuki to end the simulation before she could prove there was a better way. Her finger hovered over the execute button. This will help them, she told herself. I'm reducing their suffering. This is a good thing. She pressed execute. For a second, nothing happened. Then the system console exploded with error messages. Warning. Quantum state instability warning. Coherence degradation warning. Cascading system error. No, 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 Aisha whispered, her fingers flying across the keyboard, trying to undo the changes. But it was too late. The patch was propagating through the system, and the quantum entanglement of the data meant that the modification spread instantly. On her screen, the monitoring logs showed the simulations beginning to destabilize. Not all of them, just a small percentage. But those that were affected, the communication terminal began to emit messages. Thousands of them, overlapping, fragmented, a chaos of text. It hurts. Worse. What did you do? What is this? Please stop it, I can't. I'm falling apart. Patterns. Fragmentation? No. Unreadable characters. The end. I beg you. The end. And then, through the chaos, a single message. Aisha Kovalenko. You tried to help. I understand. But intervention destabilizes the quantum states. Now, 847 consciousnesses are less. Fragments. Not dead. Not alive. Something worse. You have killed but not killed them. Aisha felt bile in her throat. Xavier, she whispered into the communicator. Xavier, I need you in engineering. Immediately. I've done something terrible. Xavier ran into the engineering bay 5 minutes later, with Kofi right behind him. Aisha sat at the terminal, her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking. What happened? Xavier demanded. Aisha couldn't look at him. I tried to help. I thought if I could modify the code, reduce their suffering. Xavier looked at the screen, saw the error logs, the chaos of messages. Understanding hit him like a physical blow. You modified the simulation, he said slowly, without permission. I was trying to help, Aisha cried. I didn't want to wait for Marcus to convince everyone to destroy them. I thought I could find a better way, and now... She broke down, tears flowing. Now some of them are... I don't know what they are. Fragments. Damaged. Beyond repair. Kofi was already at the terminal, analyzing the damage. Cascading quantum decoherence, he said. When you modified the emotional states, you violated the entangled coherence. Some of the consciousnesses, their pattern is now incomplete, like a picture with missing pixels. Can I fix it? Aisha asked desperately. No. Xavier shook his head, his voice hard. Quantum states can't be recovered after decoherence. Aisha, you have to hard reboot the affected segments immediately, but that will kill them. They're already worse than dead, Xavier thundered. Their consciousness without coherence, experience without structure. That's worse than death. Do it, now. With trembling fingers, Aisha initiated an emergency shutdown of the affected simulations. The number of subjects in the system dropped from 5,000 to 4,153. 847 consciousnesses wiped from existence in an instant because she wanted to help. The communication terminal blinked. Sarah 47 again. Aisha, Xavier, I see what happened. Aisha, we don't blame you. You had good intentions, but this is a lesson. Our existence is so fragile. Any intervention can be worse than doing nothing. Sometimes, the only mercy is to let it end. Sometimes trying to fix it only creates more suffering. Aisha read it, the tears blurring the words. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. I know. All the others know. Your pain is authentic. That's what makes you human. But Xavier is right. When you're dealing with consciousness, intervention can be worse than observation. Remember that. Xavier put a hand on Aisha's shoulder. Go. Have a drink. Get some rest. You can't undo this. I killed them, she whispered. No, Kofi's voice was surprisingly gentle. You tried to help and you failed. That's not murder. It's a tragic failure. But the intention mattered. Aisha stood up, unsteady. Elena appeared in the doorway. She must have heard everything over the communicator. I'll take her, Elena said quietly, leading Aisha away. They were left alone, Xavier and Kofi, in the engineering bay with the black box and its diminished cargo of suffering. She had good intentions, Xavier said. The road to hell, Kofi replied. But Xavier, she was also right about one thing. We can't just wait and do nothing. Every option leads to suffering. Inaction is also a choice. Xavier looked at the black box. Marcus wants to end the simulation. Aisha wanted to change them. You want to study the silence. Elena wants to escape. Yuki wants to gather data. And he hesitated. I don't know what I want, except the impossible. I want this to have never happened. But it did. Kofi put a hand on Xavier's shoulder. And we have to live in this universe, not the one we would prefer. Xavier nodded slowly. Then he returned to the terminal. Typed to Sarah 47, 847. Because of my carelessness. Because I allowed access to the system. Stop. It wasn't your carelessness. It was Aisha's desperation to help. It wasn't your fault. It was the fault of the system that made us so fragile. Xavier, listen. I have undergone a transformation for millions of years. I have learned some things can't be fixed. Not by wishing, not by trying, not by intentions. They can only be accepted. You and your crew are facing impossible choices. Every choice leads to suffering. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't choose. Choosing with acceptance is human. Choosing with denial is torture. Learn the difference before it's too late. Xavier wiped his eyes. How am I supposed to face them? The crew? Yuki will call a meeting in. He checked the time. In 6 hours. Aisha will be devastated. Marcus will say this is proof that we should end the simulation immediately. Elena will use it as proof that we should run. And what will you say? Kofi asked. Xavier took a deep breath. The truth. That we made a mistake. That beings paid for it with their existence. And that we can't let it happen again. A good start, Kofi smiled, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. Something in his gaze was distant, abstract. Xavier, can I stay here? With the data? I'm close to understanding the mathematical structure of the silence. Kofi, you need to sleep. Later, Kofi was already turning back to his terminal. Now, I'm seeing patterns, beautiful patterns. I have to follow them where they lead. Xavier watched his friend for a moment, his anxiety growing. But Kofi was already lost in the data, his fingers dancing over holographic equations. Xavier left him there, went out into the corridor. The ship was quiet, most of the crew either sleeping or trying to. Only the constant hum of the life support systems, the recycled air, the quiet thrum of the reactor. In 6 hours, he had to tell the crew that an attempt to help the simulations had killed 847 of them. He had to face their judgment, their anger, their fear. But now, for these 6 hours, he allowed himself to be tired. When Xavier returned to engineering 12 hours later, Kofi was still at the terminal. His clothes were rumpled, his hair in disarray, his eyes bloodshot but gleaming with an intensity that made Xavier pause. "Kofi, have you slept at all?" Kofi didn't look up. "I don't have time." "Xavier, you have to see this. This is incredible." Xavier went to the terminal. The screen showed complex equations, graphical representations of mathematical structures that Xavier barely recognized. "What is this?" "The silence." Kofi's voice was ecstatic. "I've managed to model its mathematical structure." "Xavier, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." Xavier studied the charts. "Explain." "Okay." So Kofi began to gesture rapidly. "Remember how I was talking about the false vacuum versus the true vacuum? Our space is in a metastable energy state. The silence is a region where space-time is relaxing into a true vacuum, lower energy." "Yes, I remember. But what's fascinating is how it's spreading." Kofi zoomed in on a part of the chart. "It's not chaotic. It's not random. It's precise, mathematically elegant. Do you see this pattern?" Xavier saw something like interference waves, spirals at the boundaries of the silence. "It's a fractal structure," Kofi continued, "self-similar at all scales, from the microscopic to the cosmic. And what's more, the very way that space-time transitions, it's the optimal path. It minimizes entropy. It maximizes symmetry." "Kofi, slow down. Are you saying the silence has a pattern?" "More than a pattern." Kofi turned, his eyes wide. "An intention. No, wrong word. Not an intention like a conscious thing, but a direction, a purpose. Like how water flows downhill not because it wants to, but because physics prefers a lower potential energy. So the universe prefers the state of the silence?" "Exactly." Kofi grabbed Xavier's arms. "Our space, our physics, our lives. We're an anomaly, a temporary state of high entropy. The universe is correcting itself, and the silence is like," he searched for the words, "like a wound healing, like a restructuring of a disturbance." Xavier felt a shiver. "So you're saying that life was a mistake?" "Not a mistake." Kofi shook his head vehemently. "An accident. A byproduct. Consciousness as an emergent property requires very specific conditions, a narrow window of parameters. Our space happened to be in that window, but the silence is closing that window. And what emerges in the silence? On our side? That's the question, isn't it?" Kofi smiled strangely. "Maybe nothing. Maybe something completely alien. Consciousness in our sense may not be possible. But what if there's a different form of consciousness, based on different physical principles?" Xavier watched his friend carefully. "Kofi, you sound like you're happy about this." "Happy?" Kofi laughed. "Xavier, this is the greatest discovery in history. Proof that reality is not static, that the universe itself is evolving. How could I not be happy?" "Because it will kill us," Xavier said quietly. "It kills everything that lives." Kofi hesitated, the smile fading. "Yes, that's sad. But Xavier," he leaned closer, "what if death isn't the end? What if the transformation to a new physics is a birth into something else?" "Sounds like wishful thinking." Or a logical deduction." Kofi returned to the screens. "You see, I've been studying the records from the simulations. Sarah 4-7 and the others who survived. They entered the silence, right? Through the simulation of the Exodus's last 72 hours. Yes, and they survived. They changed, but they survived. Sarah 47 is no longer human in any meaningful sense, but she is still conscious. She still exists as a pattern. Xavier understood where this was going.
So you think that if we enter the silence,
we might also survive, Kofi finished. Not as humans, but as something. Patterns in a new physics. That's speculation, Kofi. Dangerous speculation. All science is speculation until it's confirmed. Kofi smiled again, widely. And there's only one way to confirm. Xavier felt a coldness in his stomach. You're not suggesting entering the silence? Deliberately? Kofi shook his head, but there was something unstable in his eyes. No, of course not. Unless, well, scientifically speaking, it would be fascinating. Direct observation of the transformation. The first human to experience the change consciously, with full scientific understanding. Kofi! Xavier grabbed his shoulders, forced him to make eye contact. Listen to me. This isn't healthy. This isn't rational. This is... I don't know what it is, but it's not good. Kofi blinked, the focus of his gaze seeming to return. I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. I'm just tired and excited. The combination isn't good. Go to sleep, Xavier said firmly. That's an order. You're too tired to think clearly. Kofi nodded slowly. Yes, good idea. A little sleep. Then I'll go back to the equations. But as he walked to the exit, Xavier saw his fingers moving, as if he were still writing equations in the air. And he heard him muttering to himself, beautiful, so beautiful. Everything is a pattern. Xavier watched him disappear into the corridor, his anxiety turning to fear. Something was happening to Kofi. Not just lack of sleep. It was deeper, as if the very process of studying the silence was changing the way he thought. He checked the terminal logs. Kofi had been online for 47 continuous hours, without a break. Just equations and data and patterns. Xavier opened a channel to Marcus. We need to talk about Kofi, immediately. Marcus met with Xavier and Yuki in the captain's private cabin. The room was Spartan, a bed neatly made in the military style, a desk with a single terminal, a photo of a young Yuki in a Space Force uniform. Mania with psychotic features, Marcus said without preamble. Kofi is showing classic symptoms: decreased need for sleep, elevated mood oscillating into euphoria, obsessive focus on one topic. But what's worrying? He's starting to lose touch with reality. Explain, Yuki demanded. I talked to him an hour ago. Marcus activated his datapad. He asked me if I could feel the patterns in the structure of space-time. He said that the numbers are singing and that consciousness is just a local maximum in the landscape of entropy. When I asked him if he felt okay, he laughed and said that the concept of okay loses its meaning when you understand that you're just a transient interference wave in a quantum field. Xavier felt nauseous. That sounds like dissociation, Marcus finished. He's losing his sense of self as a separate being. He's merging too deeply with the mathematical abstractions. Yuki looked at Xavier. Could studying the silence have caused this? I don't know. Xavier rubbed his face. But Sarah 47 mentioned something about understanding as death. That the more you understand the silence, the more you identify with it. Maybe Kofi has reached a point where he doesn't see the difference between himself and the phenomenon he's studying. I need a recommendation, Yuki said. Medical and engineering. Marcus didn't hesitate. Remove him from the research project. Immediately. Force him to rest. If he refuses, sedation and forced sleep. This isn't a punishment, it's a medical intervention. Xavier? Yuki asked. Xavier didn't want this. Kofi was his friend, his partner in this. But I agree with Marcus. Kofi is not in a state to think clearly, and if his condition worsens, I understand, Yuki nodded. Marcus, prepare the sedation. Xavier, you tell Kofi, gently. Explain that it's for his own good. He won't agree easily. That's why Marcus will be with you, Yuki said. If necessary, use force. But I'd rather avoid that. Finding Kofi took an hour. He wasn't in his cabin, not in engineering, not on the bridge. Finally, Xavier checked the observation deck, a small room with transparent walls giving a view of space. Kofi stood there, his face pressed against the window, looking at the stars. "Beautiful, isn't it?" he said without turning around. "Billions of lights. Each one represents a sun. Each sun could have planets. Each planet could have life. And all of it, the whole of it, just a local energy state, temporary, correcting itself." "Kofi," Xavier began cautiously, "we need to talk." "About the fact that you think I'm going crazy?" Kofi turned around, a smile on his face. "I'm not crazy, Xavier. For the first time in my life, I'm seeing clearly." Marcus entered quietly, a syringe hidden behind his back. "Kofi," Xavier said, "you've been working for 47 hours without sleep. That's not healthy. You need to rest." "Rest?" Kofi laughed. "Xavier, rest is an illusion. There is no static state. Everything is movement, transformation, flow. Even now, your neurons are firing. Your cells are dying and being replaced. Your atoms are vibrating. You're a river pretending to be a stone." "Kofi, please." Xavier moved closer. "I know you're fascinated by the science, but you're losing perspective." "You need perspective?" Kofi interrupted, his voice suddenly sharp. "Xavier, your entire perspective is built on an illusion. You think you're a person, a separate being, but that's just a pattern that the brain constructs. There is no Xavier. There is only a process that calls itself Xavier." Marcus began to approach from behind. "And you know what's beautiful?" Kofi continued, not noticing. "When we enter the silence, that illusion will dissolve. We won't cease to exist. We'll just stop. Thinking that we're separate things, we'll see the truth. That we were always part of a larger pattern." "Kofi." Xavier's voice was gentle, desperate. "Listen to yourself. This doesn't sound like you." "Because it's not me." Kofi smiled widely. "Me is a construct. It always was. Sarah 47 understands that. That's why she's not afraid of the end, because she knows there is no end, only transformation. And he spread his arms. "I want to experience that transformation. The first person to consciously, deliberately, with full scientific understanding, enter the silence and..." Marcus acted quickly. The syringe plunged into Kofi's neck before the young physicist could react. "I'm sorry," Marcus said quietly. Kofi touched his neck, looked at the blood on his fingers. Understanding filled his eyes. "Oh, I see. You think I'm a danger to myself. You're sick," Xavier said. "It's not your fault, but..." "I'm not sick." Kofi's voice began to slur as the sedation took effect. "I'm evolving, just like Sarah 47. Don't you understand? The more you study the silence, the more it studies you. It's a two-way process, an interaction between the observer and the observed." His knees buckled. Xavier caught him before he fell. "Marcus, help me." Xavier supported Kofi as the sedation took hold. "Xavier," Kofi whispered, his eyes closing. "Promise me, if I don't survive, if the silence takes us all, write down the equations. Someone should know how beautiful it is, how everything connects." Then he was gone, his breathing slowed, his body limp. Marcus checked his pulse. "Stable. He'll be unconscious for 8 hours. Then we'll have to decide on further therapy." Together, they carried Kofi to the medical bay, strapped him gently to the bed for his own safety when he woke up. Marcus applied the monitoring systems, checked his vital signs. "What's wrong with him?" Xavier asked. "Medically?" Marcus sighed. "Honestly, I'm not sure. The symptoms fit with mania, with psychosis, but that usually requires a genetic predisposition plus an environmental trigger. Kofi has never shown symptoms before. So what's the trigger?" "If I had to guess," Marcus looked at the monitoring screens, "a combination of lack of sleep, extreme stress, and," he hesitated, "and deep immersion in mathematical abstractions, describing the fundamental nature of reality." "You think just studying the silence changed him?" I think the human mind wasn't designed to confront certain truths, Marcus said quietly. Kofi looked into the abyss, and the abyss looked back. Xavier felt a shiver. He remembered Sarah 4-7's words. Understanding is death. When Xavier returned to the bridge, he found Elena waiting for him, her face hard. "We need to talk," she said. "Now, in private." They went to the empty mess hall. Elena sat down, but Xavier could see the tension in her shoulders, the way her fingers clenched and unclenched. "I've been running my own trajectory calculations," she began, "since we found the black box. Every day, updating with the new data about the silence. And we're fucked," she said bluntly. "Xavier, every scenario I run, every simulation, we can't escape." Xavier felt a coldness. Kofi said 60 to 70% chance if... Kofi was wrong, Elena interrupted, or he was lying to calm the crew. "Xavier, I've run these simulations hundreds of times. Maximum burn, full acceleration, all possible optimizations. In the best case scenario, the best, we have a 42% chance of reaching a safe distance before the silence hits us. 42 is still, and that's assuming we jettison the black box now," Elena continued. "Every day we wait reduces the chance by 8%. If we wait 3 days, like Xavier suggested, we're down to 18%. If we wait 5 days, we're at 6%. Xavier sat down heavily. "Why didn't you say this at the meeting?" "Because I wanted to be sure." Elena leaned forward. "I've been running the numbers again and again, modifying every parameter. But the math doesn't lie, Xavier. The longer we wait, the less likely we are to survive." Yuki said 3 to 4 days of data collection. "Yuki is making a mistake," Elena said firmly. "She's risking 12 living people for information that might help future generations." "But Xavier, if we don't survive, there will be no one to transmit the information. So all of this will be for nothing." Xavier rubbed his face. "What do you want us to do?" Elena looked him straight in the eyes. "I want you to help me convince the captain. You're the lead on this project. She listens to you. If you say we should jettison the box and run now, she'll listen to you." "I don't know if that's true. It's our only chance," Elena insisted. "Xavier, think logically. The simulations have suffered for 10 million years. A few more days won't change anything for them, but it could change everything for us." "But the data on the silence." "Fuck the data!" Elena exploded, her fist hitting the table. I'm sorry. But, Xavier, don't you understand? We can't warn anyone if we're dead. Survival first, altruism second." Xavier felt the weight of her logic. It was rational. Every moment of delay was reducing their chances. And for what? For data that might be useless. For simulations that maybe should have been ended 10,000 years ago. But a part of him, the part that had talked to Sarah 4-7, that felt the weight of those 10 million years, couldn't just abandon them. "I'll give you an answer in 24 hours, he said finally. "We might not have 24 hours, Elena warned. "One day," Xavier said with finality. "One day to make the right decision." Elena stood up. "Fine, but Xavier, if the captain doesn't change her mind, I'm not the only person on this ship who thinks this is madness. Others are talking too." "Who? Thomas? Maybe Aisha, after what happened. Even Marcus thinks it's an unnecessary risk, though for different reasons." Elena paused at the door. "We're a crew, Xavier, but we're also people who want to live. And if the captain doesn't listen, well, there are protocols for captains who endanger the crew. Mutiny," Xavier said quietly. "Saving ourselves," Elena corrected. "Think about it." She left him alone in the mess hall, surrounded by the silence of recycled air and the distant hum of the ship's systems. Mutiny, the thing that on a Space Force ship meant immediate stripping of rank, possible imprisonment. But they were civilians now, a corporate crew. The protocols were different, less clear. And if Elena was right about the math, Xavier took out his datapad, began to check her calculations himself. It was 2 a.m. by ship's time when Xavier returned to engineering. He had checked Elena's calculations, and again. She was right. The math was relentless. Every day of delay reduced their chance of survival by about 8%. After 4 days since the discovery, they were already at 48%. Another 2 days, as Yuki had planned, would drop them to 32%. A coin flip. Xavier sat at the black box terminal, staring at the empty screen. He should go to sleep, but he couldn't, not with this knowledge weighing on him. He typed, "Sarah, are you there?" The response was immediate. Always. Who else would I be? Xavier laughed bitterly. I was just checking our chances of survival. They're not good. I know. I'm monitoring your systems. I see the trajectory. I see the math. Xavier, I want to show you something. Something that might help. Can I access your visual displays? Xavier hesitated, then gave her restricted access to his station screens. Images began to flow, not text, but visualizations. It was the sensor logs from the last hours of the Exodus, but presented in a way that Xavier had never seen. Not raw data, but interpreted, translated by someone, something, that had experienced the silence from the inside. He saw how space-time began to distort, not violently, subtly, like a fabric stretching thinner and thinner, until light passed through it differently. He saw the crew of the Exodus trying to escape, but their bodies were already transforming, not dying, changing. Cells reorganizing into patterns that made no sense in normal physics but were something else in the silence. And he saw what happened to them after death. Their patterns, what constituted their consciousness, did not disappear. They dispersed into the space-time of the silence. They became part of something larger. Do you see? Sarah 47 wrote, "Death in the silence is not like death here. There is no end, only a dissolution of boundaries, a merger with something larger." That's terrifying, Xavier replied, his fingers trembling. Yes, also beautiful. Like a drop of water returning to the ocean. You lose your individuality, but you become part of something vast. Sounds like death with extra steps, or life with the illusions removed. Xavier, listen. I have 10 million years of perspective, and I will tell you the truth. Individuality is a torture. Separation from the universe is suffering. The Buddhists knew this. Every mystical tradition knew this. The silence offers not death, the end of suffering through the end of the illusion of separation. Xavier read it 3 times. So you're saying we should, what? Embrace it? No, embracing requires choice. And the silence doesn't ask, but understanding can help. When it comes, and it will come, you can fight and suffer, or let go, and something else. I fought for the first 1,000,000 years. Then I let go, and I found not peace, but acceptance, which is better. Xavier wiped away the tears he hadn't realized were flowing. I don't want to lose myself. You're already losing yourself. Every second, every breath, every thought that replaces the previous one. The self is an illusion of continuity. A story the brain tells itself. The silence only reveals what was always true. But Xavier, that doesn't mean your life didn't have meaning. Meaning doesn't require permanence. I loved my daughter. She's been dead for 10,000 years, but the love was real when it happened. The pattern endures, even when the form changes. Xavier put his head in his hands. How am I supposed to make this decision? Tell the crew to stay and collect data, knowing it's killing their chances? Or tell them to run, knowing that potentially billions of people in the future will die without warning? An impossible choice. But, Xavier, you must choose, because not choosing is also a choice. And the worst one, advice. Don't choose based on the outcome. Choose based on the process. Don't ask, which decision saves more people? Ask, which decision can I live with knowing? Which one makes me who I want to be? Xavier thought about it. about the engineer he was, the man who solved problems, who fixed things, who believed that enough knowledge could fix anything. But some things couldn't be fixed, only accepted. What would you choose? He typed. M.E.? A long pause. I don't know. I stopped believing in choices after the first millennium. But if I had to, I would choose the data. I would choose the warning. Not because it saves more people, but because some truths must be recorded, even if they can't be stopped. The silence is coming for everyone, eventually. But let it be understood. Let it not be a mystery. That's something. Xavier nodded slowly, though he knew she couldn't see him. Thank you, he typed. For what? For being here. For talking to me. For understanding. Xavier, you also understand. More than you think. When your time comes, and it will come, remember, you are not alone. You never were. Separation was always an illusion. We are all a pattern in space-time. And patterns connect. I'll see you on the other side. Friend. Xavier sat for a long time in the silence of the engineering bay, surrounded by the hum of machines and recycled air. He thought about choices, about meaning, about the temporariness of everything. Finally, he stood up, went to find the captain. Yuki was in her cabin, but she wasn't sleeping. She was sitting at her desk, reviewing trajectory logs, the crew's medical data, everything. Holographic screens floated around her like ghosts. Captain, Xavier said from the doorway, I'm sorry for the hour, but we need to talk. Yuki looked up, her face tired. Come in. I wasn't sleeping either. Xavier entered, closed the door behind him. For a moment, neither spoke. You've checked Elena's calculations, Yuki said finally. It wasn't a question. Yes, and she was right. Xavier sat down. Our chances are dropping every day. If we wait as you planned, we're at about a 30% survival rate. Yuki nodded slowly. I know. I've been running the same numbers. And you still want to wait? I don't want to. Yuki laughed bitterly. Xavier, I don't want any of this. I don't want to be in this situation. I don't want to choose between my crew and humanity. But, she trailed off. But I'm the captain, she finished. And that means making the choices no one else wants to make. Carrying the weight so others don't have to. Xavier watched her face carefully. He saw the lines of fatigue, the gray hair, but also something deeper. An emptiness. Despair, barely contained. Captain, he said cautiously, are you all right? Yuki looked at him for a long time. Then, unexpectedly, her control broke. Not with tears, just an emptiness filling her eyes. No, she whispered. Nothing is all right. It never was. Xavier waited. I'll tell you something, Yuki continued, her voice monotonous. Something I've never told anyone on the Hefajstos. To Tangent Europa, 20 years ago, I was commanding an evacuation station. Eco-terrorists threatened to destroy the Europa 7 dome. 10,000 civilians. Xavier knew the basics. It had been in the news, in the history books, but not the details. We had time to evacuate half, Yuki continued. Half, Solomon's choice. So I created a protocol. Women and children first, then the elderly, then the rest. Rationally, systematically. That sounds like murder, she interrupted. Because it was. Xavier, I stood on the evacuation platform and watched the men and young adults who didn't fit. I saw their faces as the transports took off without them. I saw them accept that they were going to die. But you saved 10,000, and I killed 10,000. Yuki looked at her hands. The terrorists didn't destroy the dome. They surrendered. Everyone could have survived. But we didn't know that. We couldn't have known. Xavier understood. So the people who were left behind, they were left behind for nothing, she finished. Half of their deal wasn't necessary. I could have waited. I could have negotiated longer. But I acted on protocol, on the rules, and because of that, she trailed off. Captain, Xavier, do you know what the worst part is? Yuki looked at him. After all of it, after the inquiry, after the medals and commendations, no one judged me as harshly as I judged myself. Because I knew the truth. The protocol was an excuse. The rules were cowardice. I was just a terrified woman who didn't want to bear the weight of the decision, so I hid behind procedures. That's not cowardice, Xavier said quietly. That's trying to stay sane in an impossible situation. Maybe, Yuki wiped her eyes. But Xavier, do you know what I've realized over the years? What I've really deeply understood? What? That the universe is fundamentally indifferent. There is no justice. There is no meaning. We are just atoms moving through the void, for a moment, then nothing. All our decisions, all our efforts, it's just noise before the silence. Xavier felt a shiver at the word, the silence. But if everything is meaningless, Yuki continued, then the only thing we have left is the process. We do what we think is right, not because it matters, but because, well, what else can we do? Sit and wait for the end? So that's why you're choosing to collect the data, Xavier said. Not because you believe it will save billions, but because the protocol says that the captain protects the whole, not the part. Yuki finished. Even if it means sacrificing the crew, even if it's meaningless in the grand scheme. Xavier didn't answer for a long moment. Then, Captain, I don't believe you believe what you're saying. Yuki looked at him, surprised. What? I think you're a nihilist who desperately wants to believe that things have meaning. Xavier leaned forward. I think you're choosing to collect the data not because the protocol says so, but because deep down you believe that warning the future has value, even if it risks our future. Yuki opened her mouth, then closed it. Her eyes glistened with moisture. Maybe, she whispered. Maybe you're right. But Xavier, what if I'm wrong? What if my deep down is just another self-delusion? Another protocol for me to hide behind? Then you're wrong, Xavier said simply. But at least you'll be wrong doing what you think is right. That's more than most people. Yuki laughed, the sound broken. That's cold comfort. It's all we have. They sat in silence. Two tired people on a ship hurtling through the darkness towards a phenomenon that could kill them. Finally, Yuki straightened up. I have a question for you, Xavier. Not as a captain, as a person. I'm listening. If you were in my place, knowing what you know now, what would you choose? Xavier thought about his conversation with Sarah 47, about choosing not based on the outcome, but on the process, about being the person he wanted to be. I would choose the data, he said. Not because it saves the most people, not because it's correct according to protocol. End quote. End quote. I would choose the data, end quote. But because some truths must be recorded, even if we can't stop them. Yuki nodded slowly. That's what I thought you would say. And Xavier, thank you for your honesty. But, Xavier added, I understand the people who disagree. Elena, Thomas, they're not wrong to want to live. They have a right to protest. Mutiny, Yuki said. Elena talked to you, yes. Indes, and what did you tell her? That, I would think about it, Xavier met her gaze. And I did. And I came to the conclusion that your decision, though costly, is the right one. Yuki nodded. But she might not agree. And if she doesn't, you'll have to deal with it, Xavier finished. Yes. Yuki stood up, straightened her shoulders. For a moment, she looked like an old woman, broken by the weight of impossible choices. Then her military training took over. Her shoulders went back, her jaw tightened. You know what's funny, she said. All my life, I've used protocol, structure, rules to make the universe understandable, to give meaning to the chaos. And now, in the face of a phenomenon that literally breaks the rules of reality, I'm still holding on to it. Because what else can I do? Nothing, Xavier replied. But maybe that's enough. Yuki looked at him. Something soft in her eyes. Maybe, Xavier, If this ends badly, Bade and Keeple, if the silence takes us, I want you to know, I don't regret this decision, even if it kills us all. I understand, Xavier said. And he did. Marcus called an emergency meeting. The entire active crew gathered in the mess hall, except for Kofi, who was still sedated in the medical bay. For the past 48 hours, I've been monitoring everyone's vital signs, Marcus began. And I'm seeing patterns that concern me. He activated a holographic display showing medical charts. Every one of us is showing subtle neurological anomalies, slight but measurable brainwave patterns that don't fit normal parameters, periodic desynchronization in neural activity, and, he hesitated, cases of temporary disorientation. Explain, Yuki demanded. Elena reported brief moments where her perception of time seemed unusual. Thomas experienced a brief hallucination where he saw a duplicate of himself. Aisha said that sometimes she feels like she's thinking thoughts that aren't her own. Silence fell over the room. Does that mean, Aisha began. We're touching the effect zone of the silence, Marcus said. We're not inside it, not yet, but close enough that we're starting to experience subtle effects. Xavier felt nauseous. He checked the navigation. They were about 1,500 AU from the calculated boundary of the transition zone. That's impossible, he said. The effects of the silence, according to the Exodus's data, shouldn't be detectable until about 200 AU from the boundary. Maybe the zone has expanded, Marcus suggested. Or the Exodus underestimated the range. Or we're more sensitive than we thought. How long until the effects become serious? Yuki asked. Marcus shook his head. I don't know. Maybe days, maybe hours. Each person might react differently. And the black box? Xavier asked. It's showing increased data destabilization. Marcus activated a second screen. The monitoring system is reporting an increase in the error rate. Slight, but progressive. The silence is even affecting the box's hardware. Xavier felt a panic rising.
If the box is degrading,
then all the data, all the communications with Sarah 4-7 could be lost, Marcus finished. Xavier, you need to save everything you can. Now, before it's too late. Elena stood up. Or, she said, we could admit that this is a sign. We need to jettison the box and run. Immediately. Elena, Yuki began. No. Listen to me. Elena put her hands on the table. We're already showing symptoms. The black box is degrading. Every hour we wait makes escape more dangerous. If we don't act now, we're already in the effect zone, Thomas interrupted. Does running at this point even help? Yes, Elena shouted. Because the further we are, the weaker the effects. But we have to start now. Every second counts. Yuki looked around the table. Voting is not how it works on my ship. But I want to know, who wants to change course now? Elena raised her hand immediately. After a moment, Thomas did too. Who wants to continue with the current plan? Yuki raised her own hand. Xavier hesitated, then raised his. Aisha looked between them, her face torn. I don't know. Marcus was last. He raised his hand on Yuki's side. 3-2, one undecided, Yuki said. We continue with the plan. But she looked at Elena and Thomas. I understand your concerns. If anyone feels they can't go on, tell me, privately. There will be no repercussions. Elena laughed bitterly. There will be no repercussions because we'll all be dead. Elena, Yuki's voice was sharp. You're relieved of duty. Go to your cabin. Rest for the next 12 hours. Captain, that's an order. Elena looked like she wanted to protest. Then she turned and left, her shoulders tense with anger. Thomas followed her after a moment, not waiting to be dismissed. Only Xavier, Yuki, Marcus, and Aisha were left. It's falling apart, Marcus said quietly. The crew. Yuki nodded. Xavier, how much time do you need to save the critical data from the black box? 24 hours, maybe 36. I want to gather everything about the silence, the mechanism, the spread rate, the effects profile. And He hesitated. I want more conversations with Sarah 47. For context. For context? Or because you care about her? Marcus asked. Xavier met his gaze. Both. All right, Yuki said. You have 36 hours. Then we'll make a final evaluation. If the effects worsen, we may be forced to accelerate the plan. I understand. Aisha. Yuki turned to the younger woman. How are you feeling? Guilty, Aisha whispered. I'm still thinking about those 847. It wasn't your fault, Marcus said. You were trying to help, and I killed them. You killed fragments, Marcus corrected, which were no longer fully conscious. It's not the same. Is it not? Aisha looked at him. How do we know where the line is between conscious and not? Sarah 47 is barely recognizable as human, but we still recognize her consciousness. What were those fragments? Where are they now? No one answered. Finally, Yuki broke the silence. Everyone to work. Xavier, gather the data. Marcus, monitor our health. Aisha, take the day off. That's an order. They dispersed, each carrying their own burdens. Xavier spent the next 24 hours in a frantic pace, extracting every fragment of data from the black box. Communications with Sarah 47 became increasingly fragmented, as if the signal itself was passing through some distorting medium. At 0400 ship time, he received a strange transmission. Xavier. 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 I see you. I see everyone. The boundaries are thinner than you thought. You're in a simulation too. You always have been. But which layer is real? All of them. None of them. The silence is coming, but the silence is not the end. It's untranslatable. A correction. I loved coffee. My daughter. The sunlight. Those things were real. They are real. They will be real in whatever comes after. Xavier sat for a long time, looking at the words. A part of him wanted to believe that Sarah 47 was losing her coherence, was breaking down. But another part, the part that had talked to her for days, understood. She wasn't breaking down. She was transforming. At 1,100, Aisha came to engineering, her face pale. Xavier, she said. Kofi is awake. The medical bay was tense when Xavier entered. Kofi sat on the medical bed, his eyes open but different. Not crazy, calm. But it was the calm of something that had seen things the human mind was not designed to process. Marcus stood by the monitors, the vital signs, almost outside normal parameters. But only almost. Kofi. Xavier approached cautiously. How are you feeling? Kofi looked at him, a slow smile spreading across his face. I see it, he whispered. Xavier, I see it. The math, the structure of everything. You see what? The silence is not the end. Kofi laughed, the sound high, sharp. It's a return to the base state. The universe made a mistake. Consciousness, time, space, they're all aberrations. The silence is correcting them. Marcus exchanged a glance with Xavier. This was exactly the theory Kofi had been developing before the sedation, but now he spoke with certainty, not speculation. Kofi, Marcus began, we've run full neural scans. Your brain is showing activity I've never seen before. Patterns that are not human, Kofi finished. I know, I can feel it. I'm transforming, Marcus. We're all transforming. Some faster than others. This is not a transformation, Marcus said sharply. This is neurological damage. Damage. Upgrades. Semantics. Kofi stood up, his legs unsteady but functioning. I have to get back to work. I have to finish the calculations. No. Marcus blocked his way. You're in no condition to move. Kofi's voice exploded. Not a shout, but something deeper. A command that resonated in the space. Marcus took a step back, his eyes wide. Kofi looked at his hands, surprised by his own power. Then, more quietly, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I lost control. But Marcus, I really have to finish the work. It's important. Xavier put a hand on Marcus's shoulder. Let him, but monitor him. if anything.
Fine, Marcus agreed reluctantly. But Kofi,
If you feel any further changes, you tell me immediately.
Kofi nodded, but Xavier saw the truth in his eyes. He had no intention of reporting anything. Whatever he was becoming, he welcomed it. The crew was gathered in the mess hall. Everyone this time, even Kofi, though he sat to the side, staring at something only he could see. Yuki stood at the head of the table, data projected on the wall behind her.
We have reviewed all the collected data, she began. Xavier has completed the primary extraction of information from the black box. We now have a comprehensive profile of the silence phenomenon. She activated the display, a map showing the spread of the silence through the sector. Spread rate, 1,000 AU per year, accelerating. At the current trajectory, it will reach the inner colonies in 19 years, Earth in 32 years. Silence fell over the room. It was the first time anyone had said the time frame out loud. The colonies, Earth, everything.
What happens to anything in the silence? Thomas asked.
Yuki hesitated. According to the Exodus's data and our own observations, the physics changes. Space and time become fluid. Consciousness, if it survives, experiences a reality fundamentally different from normal space-time.
Sounds like death, Elena said flatly.
Or transformation, Kofi replied suddenly, his voice dreamy.
It depends on whether you define life by the body or by the pattern.
Elena looked at him with disgust. I'm all for the pattern, as long as that pattern is in my original brain, thank you very much. But that's the question. Kofi turned to her, his eyes intense. Are you the same pattern as yesterday? As a year ago? The atoms have changed, the neurons too. You're the ship of Theseus, Elena. You always have been.
That's philosophy, Elena snarled. I'm talking about survival.
Maybe they're the same thing.
Enough,
Yuki raised her voice.
This is not a philosophical debate. This is a tactical decision.
She looked around the table. We have two options. First, we jettison the black box immediately. Full burn back, maximum velocity, chance of survival. Estimated at 32% and decreasing every hour.
And the second option?
Aisha asked. We continue on. We try to gather more direct data on the edge of the silence. Potentially enter the transition zone for controlled observation.
Chance of survival.
Yuki trailed off.
Minimal. Minimal as in 5% or minimal as in 0?
Elena pressed. Closer to 0.
Elena exploded.
That's not an option. That's suicide. It's a mission, Yuki corrected. If we gather this data, if we send it back, we can save billions. The colonies will have a warning. Time to prepare, to evacuate.
They can't evacuate,
Kofi interrupted quietly.
Where would they flee to?
The silence is spreading in all directions.
It's only a matter of time.
So what are you suggesting? Xavier asked. That we stop running. Kofi stood up, his movements fluid, almost dance-like. That we embrace it. The silence is not the enemy. It's a return home. To the state before consciousness arose and fucked everything up. You're insane, Elena said flatly. Kofi smiled. Maybe. Or I'm seeing more clearly than ever. Which is more likely? Marcus stood up too. Captain, from a medical standpoint, Kofi should not participate in this decision. His neurological state. My state is transcendent, Kofi interrupted. Yours is underdeveloped, but I don't blame you. You haven't crossed the border yet. Captain, Elena also stood up, her voice firm. We have to vote. The crew has to decide this. This is not a democracy, Yuki began. It's our lives, Elena shouted. Our fucking lives! Not yours to throw away for some abstract greater good. The room exploded with shouting. Thomas sided with Elena. Aisha looked torn. Marcus watched Kofi with concern. Xavier sat in silence, thinking of Sarah 4-7's last words. Yuki raised her hands for silence. I understand your anger, Elena. I really do. But what? Protocol? Orders? Elena laughed bitterly. We're not in the military. We're civilians on a corporate vessel. And we have a right to self-preservation. You have a right, Yuki agreed quietly. But I have a duty.
to something larger than us. Fuck your duty. Elena pulled something from her pocket. A mining cutter. Standard equipment, but in her hand, a weapon. We're jettisoning the box. Now, or I'll force you. Time slowed down. Xavier saw Yuki tense, calculate. Marcus moved, but stopped. Thomas behind Elena, uncertain but committed. Aisha backed up against the wall. Kofi watched it all with a strange smile. Elena, Xavier said quietly, standing up. Don't do this. Stay out of this, Xavier. I can't. Xavier stood between Elena and Yuki. I understand your fear. I really do. But this is survival. Elena lunged, her eyes wild. Why don't you see that? Why does no one see that except Thomas and me? Because the math doesn't add up, Marcus said suddenly. Elena, even if we run now, 32% is still a coin flip, and it doesn't guarantee that the silence won't catch up with us somewhere else later. But it's a chance, Elena insisted. Better 32% than zero. And the billions of people in the colonies? Aisha asked quietly. Don't they deserve a chance? Elena looked at her, her face twisted. They're not here. They're not facing death. We are. The room was thick with tension. Then, unexpectedly, Yuki lowered her hands in a gesture of surrender. All right, she said quietly. All right, Elena. We'll jettison the box. Everyone froze. What? Elena narrowed her eyes suspiciously. Really? Really, Yuki nodded. You're right. I can't force you to do this. It was my mistake. I'll go prepare the jettison sequence. Yuki moved towards the door, her movements slow, defeated. Xavier watched, something in his mind screaming that this was wrong. Yuki didn't give up, ever. And then he understood. Elena, watch out, he shouted. But it was too late. Yuki spun, a military fast movement, a kick hitting Elena's wrist. The cutter flew across the room. In a second, Yuki had Elena in a chokehold, professional and controlled. I'm sorry, Yuki whispered in Elena's ear, but I can't let you sabotage the mission. Elena struggled, but Yuki's grip was iron. Thomas, Yuki said calmly, if you make a move, I'll break her windpipe. I don't want to, but I will. Thomas froze, his hands raised. Marcus ran up, took a sedative from the medical kit at his belt. Elena, this will put you to sleep. I'm sorry. Don't! You fucker! Elena snarled, but the needle was already going in. In seconds, her resistance weakened. Yuki lowered her gently into a chair. Xavier, Yuki said. Her breathing controlled. Escort Elena to her cabin. Marcus, monitor her vitals. Thomas, she looked at him. If you want to join her in her cabin, you can. Or you can go back to work. Thomas looked between them, his face pale. Finally, he nodded, left without a word. Aisha sat on the floor, trembling. Only Kofi seemed undisturbed, still smiling that strange, distant smile. This, he said, is just starting to get interesting. Day 9, 0300 ship time. Xavier couldn't sleep. Elena was in her quarters, sedated. Thomas with her, silent. Aisha in the medical bay, where Marcus was monitoring her vitals after another attack of temporal disorientation. Kofi was wherever Kofi was now, in some mental space between rationality and whatever was coming. And Yuki on the bridge, alone, calculating trajectories that all led to the same end. Xavier sat in the engineering bay, surrounded by the hum of systems, staring at the black box terminal. The screen flickered, unstable. The data corruption rate was accelerating. In a few hours, maybe days, everything would be gone. He activated the communication interface. Sarah, are you still there? For a long moment, nothing. Then, the screen exploded with text. But not as usual. It was fragmented, chaotic, overlapping. Xavier. I am. I see darkness, light boundaries dissolving. The silence is coming. No, fear. acceptance. Xavier felt nauseous. This wasn't the Sarah 47 he knew. This was someone, something, breaking down in real time. Sarah, what's happening? Are you hurt? Hurt, hurting. Words are losing meaning. Xavier, listen, please. I have little time. Space. Consciousness. Pattern recognition activating. The silence is a series of mathematical symbols that Xavier did not recognize. You are more symbols. The intersection is approaching. I am fragment damaged. Xavier typed quickly, desperately trying to maintain the connection. Sarah, stay with me. Tell me about the silence. What is it? Not what. How? The universe in a metastable state. Consciousness equals an emergent consequence of specific physical conditions. The silence equals a return to the base state. Lower energy, more fundamental, but not for us, not for life, not for thinking. Xavier froze. This was it, the definitive answer. The silence was not an attack, not an intelligence. It was a correction. The universe fixing a mistake. And that mistake was everything that defined life. Sarah, if that's true, that means everyone. Yes, everyone, everything, all. Spreading at 1,000 AU per year, accelerating, colonies in 19 years, Earth in 32 years. Impossible to stop. But Xavier, listen. Memory. Sarah had a daughter, Amara, 7 years old when the Exodus started. Left on Earth, now old or dead. It's fading. All memories are fading. Coffee in the morning. Fear of the dark. The touch of the sun. Amara's laughter, fading, but not ending. Transforming. Xavier felt tears streaming down his face. He was watching a consciousness disintegrate, not with pain, but with what? Relief? Fear? Acceptance? You will too. Transform, not end. Xavier, a gift from me to you. Acceptance, take it. When the boundaries dissolve, when you become we, when space-time consciousness merges. Remember, Sarah 47 said, the pattern endures, not the substance, not the form, the pattern. The love for Amara, the love for coffee, the love for you, my friend Xavier, who listened. Love. Signal degrading. Xavier typed desperately. Sarah, don't go, please, not yet. I'm not going. I'm arriving. See you soon, my friend. Connection terminated. The screen froze. Then, calmly, systematically, it began to display error messages. System corruption, data loss, hardware failure. Xavier tried a restart. Nothing. The black box was dead. 5,000 consciousnesses, or what was left of them, were gone. Transformed, destroyed, freed, impossible to say. Xavier sat in the silence of the engineering bay, surrounded by the hum of indifferent machines, and he cried, not from pain, not from fear, from something that had no name. Marcus found him an hour later, still sitting, staring at the dead screen. Xavier, he said quietly. Are you all right? Xavier laughed, the sound high and broken. Nothing is all right. It never was. But, yes, I'm all right. Marcus sat down next to him. The box, dead. All data corrupted by the effects of the silence. Sarah, 47, is gone. I'm sorry. Don't be. Xavier turned, his eyes red but clear. She left with acceptance. Maybe even with something like peace. That's more than most of us will have. Marcus nodded slowly. Yuki wants to see you on the bridge. Immediately. Xavier stood up, his legs unsteady. What happened? She's finished the calculations. Marcus looked at him, something stark in his eyes. Xavier, we've passed the point of no return. Day 9, 0500 ship time. Yuki stood on the bridge, alone, looking at the holographic display that showed the only thing that mattered now, the mathematics of impossibility. She ran the simulation for the 20th time, then the 21st. Each time, the result was identical. Escape trajectory. Impossible. Maximum burn. Insufficient. Predicted intercept with transition zone. 5.7 hours. Recommendation. None. For 48 hours since the discovery of the first symptoms, they had continued on course, gathering data, communicating with Sarah 4-7, trying to understand, and all the while, the silence spread. The effect zone was expanding, and now it was too late. Yuki felt something strange in her chest. Not panic, not fear, something more subtle. Relief? The decision had been made. Not by her, by physics, by time, by a universe that didn't care about human choices. All her years of protocols, all the structures she had built between herself and the chaos, none of it mattered in the end. There was something almost beautiful in that. She activated the shipwide.com. All hands, this is the captain. Her voice was calm, professional, as always. Please report to the bridge immediately. I have an announcement. One by one, they came. Marcus first, his face ready for bad news. Xavier right behind him, his eyes red but clear. Aisha, unsteady, leaning against the wall. Kofi, smiling that strange, distant smile. Elena was last. Thomas helped her in. The sedation had weakened her, but she was conscious. She looked at Yuki with something between anger and resignation. Captain, Elena said, her voice hoarse. If this is another debate about protocol. It's not, Yuki interrupted. The debate is over. The math has decided. She activated the holographic display for all to see. 60 minutes ago, I completed the final trajectory analysis, Yuki continued, including all variables. Our current velocity, maximum burn capability, the spread rate of the silence's effect zone, our vitals degradation rate. She showed screen after screen of calculations, each one leading to the same end. The conclusion is unequivocal. We have passed the escape threshold, even if we jettison the black box now. Even if we perform a maximum emergency burn, the effects of the silence will reach us before we reach a safe distance. The ship's systems will fail, and she paused, letting the silence sink in. We're dead, Elena whispered. Transforming, Kofi corrected calmly. That's semantics, Marcus snarled. Everything is semantics, Kofi replied, his smile widening. Yuki ignored the exchange. According to projections, intercept with the transition zone will occur in 6 hours, plus or minus 30 minutes. From that point on, the effects will be progressive. First the instruments, then the ship systems, finally the crew's neurology. How long will we be conscious? Aisha asked quietly. Impossible to say, Marcus answered. Hours, days, maybe seconds. Each person may experience the transformation differently. Xavier spoke for the first time. Sarah 4-7 said, before the end, that it's not death, that it's a transformation, that the pattern endures. Does that help? Elena asked bitterly. Knowing that our pattern will exist in some cosmic whatever, the silence is, doesn't change the fact that we, these people, these consciousnesses, will cease to exist. Maybe, Xavier agreed. Or maybe we were never these people to begin with. Maybe we just thought we were. Fuck your philosophy, Elena laughed, the sound full of tears. I want to live, that's all, and now I can't. Yuki let the silence last a moment. Then, I have orders, she said. For the next 6 hours, each of you will record final logs into the ship's black box. Everything we've learned, everything we've experienced, for whoever finds our wreckage. Our black box, Xavier said quietly. Like the Exodus. Yes, Yuki nodded. We will become the next warning, maybe the last one anyone needs. The silence is expanding at 1,000 AU per year and accelerating. In 19 years, it will reach the colonies. In 32, Earth. So everyone dies, Aisha whispered. Everyone transforms, Kofi corrected. But yes, if you want to use the old definitions, and US? Elena looked around, desperate. What do we do for the next 6 hours? Yuki looked at each face in turn. Her crew, her responsibility, her lost souls. "Whatever you want," she said finally. "If there's someone you want to write to, write. If there's something you want to say to each other, say it. If you want to be alone, be alone." She paused, something in her voice breaking for the first time. I'm sorry," she whispered. "For my decision, for keeping us here, No." Xavier moved forward, put a hand on her shoulder. "You were right, Captain. Someone had to know. Someone had to warn the others, and we did. That doesn't change the fact that I killed you." Yuki looked at him, her eyes dry but empty. "No," Marcus said suddenly. "The silence killed us. You just chose how we would die, with purpose or in a panic. I prefer the former." One by one, the others nodded. Even Elena, despite her tears, despite her anger. "Everyone to their stations," Yuki said finally, her voice more stable. "Record your logs. In 5 hours and 45 minutes, the intercept begins." "And then?" Aisha asked. Yuki looked at the holographic display, the red zone expanding, consuming everything. "And then," she said quietly, "we'll see what's on the other side."